don't know much about that guy, other than he's on that record. And I got a special guest in the studio this morning, a great tuba player, Mr. Julius McKee.
Good morning.
Yeah, you might know him from he does the brass band and a lot of other things, but he's got a lot to talk about this morning. And I'm so happy to meet a brother tuba player here,
Yes.
and part of that musical tradition.
That's the Tuba United Predicate Association.
People are listening all over the world and all over the country right now, and they don't realize what a tuba city New Orleans is.
Big time, man. You know, we got tuba players all around here, like sousaphone players, but you know, I just happen to be one of them. You know, so.
And we were talking about the difference between tubas and sousaphones.
Yeah, you know, for the longest, man, this, like, even in, like, I say middle school, I did not know the instrument I was playing was a sousaphone versus a tuba, because, you know, everybody said, hey, there goes a tuba player, when you see the big horn, automatically that's tuba. Until it's there, I have to educate people a lot, and this is like fun to educate them. You know, tell them the difference between the sousaphone and tuba. Tuba actually was first, and after the Civil War, John Philip Sousa, when a lot of marching bands were playing his music, you know, he wanted a marching tuba, an instrument to come up and over the band, so he had an instrument maker to design that horn, and they named it after him, the sousaphone, John Philip Sousa. So I tell the kids, so if anybody say, hey, that go to tuba, then now you can correct them. I say, hey, that's not a tuba, that's a sousaphone.
Yeah, I played the tuba.
Mm-hmm.
You played the sousaphone.
I played tuba in college. I played on the 4 rotary valve marathon.
Mm-hmm.
That's a German instrument.
Yeah, and it's a double C.
It wasn't C.
It was a B flat?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, cool.
My instructor, he had the C tuba.
Mm.
Yeah,
Right. Well, yeah, the more common band instrument for tuba is B flat tuba, and orchestral instruments usually C tuba.
Yeah.
So.
Never played. I think he let me play it one time.
Yeah, I play pistons. I play a king with a forward bell. So
Okay.
so I have constantly people coming to me saying, "That's a sousaphone," and I'm like, "No,
Oh, wow.
it's a tuba." And they're like, "Is that a different kind of tuba?" And I'm like, "No, it's
a tuba.
It's a tuba." Yeah. But yeah, tuba is a sit-down instrument,
Right.
and tends to be a smaller bore than a sousaphone.
Right.
Sousaphones were made for playing outdoors, made for marching, you know, made to like pump out that bass line in a big ass band outdoors,
Yeah.
with a lot of brass.
Yeah, I went to Southern University, man. We had like 20 of us.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, and to me, here in New Orleans, okay, I'm not from New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Detroit.
Okay.
And I came here in 1984. I was about 27 at the time, and I had been playing professionally tuba. And it's the reason I came here, was to play music for a living full time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, and I lost my train of thought there. That's a problem with getting old.
Yeah.
But I was amazed at the tuba culture that exists here, and how I thought I knew a lot when I came here. Boy, I found out real quick.
Well, you know, like any instrument, you know, it's constantly evolving, you know.
But yeah, so like I was going to say about the tuba and the sousaphone, there's another instrument called the helicon,
Yeah.
and that's what Al Jaffe from Preservation Hall played.
Yeah.
And it's not a tuba, and it's not a sousaphone. It's a relative of the bugle family, and it was made for playing on horseback
I did not know that.
originally. So that's the third thing. But yeah, I have people constantly coming to me. That's not a tuba. Yeah, it is. And
You
so,
have to educate.
so yeah, I got started playing tuba because my father played the tuba. My uncle was a band leader. My dad was a weekend warrior. But how'd you get started with the tuba? That's sousaphone. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like I say, you know, I got started in middle school, and actually, when I wanted to play it, cause we had band camp, they had I don't know, they had a program called NORD, which is a summer New Orleans Recreation Department. So they had a summer program for, get the kids off the street to play some, get them interested in playing music. And so I went there one day to the school, which was Lawless Junior High, Lawless, like in Lower Ninth where that's where I'm from. Yeah. So all of me and a bunch of other little boys were there. The band director, Herman Jones, said, okay, pick your instrument if you want to play. Like any other little boy, I picked drums, right? So there 50 of us wanted to play drums. And I said, no, that's too many of y'all. So I picked the sousaphone. I don't know why I chose that, but I did. And he said, well, no, you're kind of small. So he picked a French horn for me, right? He said, no, you're gonna play this French horn, right? To be in the band, play the French horn, and I played that 2 years before I even got a chance to play the sousaphone. But what he didn't know was that I was secretly playing the sousaphone on my way home from school every day, because my friend who was a little bigger than me, we used to walk home together walk home from school together. And he would carry the French horn and I would pick up the sousaphone and I would toot it, playing it all the way to his house, and then he would give me my French horn back. Then I would go home. But by the time I got to the 9th grade, a lot of guys that aged out of the school, they were going to high school, they had an opening. One guy was playing it and he had another sousaphone left. So he asked for volunteers to play it, and I raised my hand again, and this time being a little bit bigger, not much bigger. He let me play it, and right then and there, they said, well, you could do this, right? Because New Orleans, we do parades here, right? And, I was in 7th grade, man. I ain't a big guy, so in 7th grade, I was much smaller. So, and the horns were metal, right? They didn't have those fiberglass.
I know, I played a metal horn too.
So
Silver one.
Yeah. And so he said, you'd never make it. So he didn't let me play it for 2 years, man. But he let me play it because nobody else wanted to, and I knew how to do it already. So from there, to present day, I've been playing ever since. So kudos to, to Lawless Junior High. That started. So that's how I got to it.
For sure. Yeah, and metal horns are back, huh?
Yeah. This is for me. For me, it's the sound, man. You can't replicate that sound on fire.
Hear that bell ringing?
Mm-hmm.
They don't hear that.
No. and then they, you can feel it.
You can feel it. Oh yeah. Yeah, and there's like the horn rings. The notes, they have a little more sustain.
Yeah,
to
they have
them.
a little more depth to them.
The fiberglass and plastic horns are so dead.
Yeah, they're loud now. You can get a big, loud. You're sacrificing some of the true integrity of the instrument.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm so glad that you decided to stick with the sousaphone, and because you made a huge impression on me when I came to this city as a young man, thinking I knew something about the tuba. And I heard the Dirty Dozen band with you, and I heard the Dirty Dozen band with Tuba Fats also at Jazz Fest. Back in '84.
He was actually the first tuba player, sousaphone player for the Dirty Dozen. And then Kirk Joseph. He was the guy that I heard Tuba Fats and Kirk Joseph. But around this time I was in marching band at Southern University. So I had no inclination to carry the torch for New Orleans sousaphone players, because I was into that. I'm from the 9th Ward, man, and I was like, I didn't really get into New Orleans music scene until I got to basically college, man. I was a jazz guy, marching band guy, but never the sousaphone, never jazz, never New Orleans music because when that happened, I used to play like, we used to do like little second lines up at Southern, you know, and the guys from here that was in the band with me said, hey man, come on, let's do a second line. And I'm like, I don't know any of this music. I didn't know anything. So I was pretty good at catching on, and I had pretty good ears. And so they would invite me, say, like for a Mardi Gras break. They say, man, when you come home, man, come with us to the French parties, right? So I would come to the French parties, and the Paulin brothers, I think I give them a lot of credit for getting them started. Doc Paulin, he's a famous trumpeter here, but all his sons played music, and I was in the marching band with two of them. Mm-hmm. And so they would say, hey man, come down to New Orleans, man, with Mardi Gras and come play with us in the square. Now I don't even know music, right? So it's like one of the brothers, Dwayne Paulin, who played the sousaphone part on the trombone. He played like a couple of times down until I hear it. Mm-hmm. And then I would hear it when we play it. And around this time, I'm starting to learn repertoire enough to, now I'm getting invited by Doc Paulin, hey man, come do this parade with us. That's like one of my first playing gigs. Doc Paulin, Mardi Gras morning, right? It became like an annual thing for me. And from there, my tuba instructor, the great Frank Chimay, is the principal tuba player while he wasn't retired, man. But Baton Rouge Philharmonic Symphony. So that was my tuba instructor, because I was studying tuba, right? So now I'm into classical music. Now he said, hey, come down here, I want you to come play with me. And I get there and this P found me now Hirt, right? So now I'm elevating. Now I'm like, you guys like to really, because you're a young guy, know all these tunes, and all these tunes I had learned from Doc Paulin, right? So now I'm playing with P found me now Hirt. And then I just found out I could do it, and that's when I started coming into contact with Kirk Joseph. When I first heard my first Dirty Dozen album, I think it was the Voodoo album, and I would say, hey, this, and I said, oh yeah, I can do that. So that, but when I came, after being introduced to a lot of these guys, I sat down with Tuba Fats, and I would go into the square and just listen to Tuba Fats, right? Because now I'm starting to hear, okay, this is this now. I hear guys, and Tuba Fats would just say, sit over there and just listen. They wouldn't even really touch the horn, right? Then but again, when my number was called, it's like when I was called, when Mr. Jones actually let me play for the first time. Tuba Fats, it was kind of like that, she finally let me play, and then boom, blew in my door and said, wow, you can do this, right? And then now he's asking me to come sit in with him, and he gave me a shot. He said, because I'm playing with all these great cats, Frank Stagman, Elliot Kelly, Fred Kemp, George on trumpet, from the Olympia, all these like really heavyweights in the traditional music, right? So now I'm sitting in, and Tuba Fats, he took a break and said, yeah, you can play. And I'm like, wow. So, I played a set with him in Jackson Square, and then so I'm standing on the side after that. So he said, man, come get your money. I said, I get paid for this. So I got paid for the first time. That's how I used to do it. But the older cats, you could not play with the older cats until you could prove you could play, right? And it's a little different now. I don't even about that now. But it was just, to me, it was like a rite of passage.
I had the same thing.
Yeah.
Not 15.
Yeah, yeah. And so but the Kirk Joseph, to me, he had took it to another level of playing. And I remember Tuba Fats told me, man, he said, you're going to be the next level. He told me that one night. And I didn't know what he meant by that. But, I wasn't playing, because, you kind of develop your own style of playing, right? Because I've always been a person that, like, well, I don't want to sound like this guy. I don't want to do everything this guy.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I'm adding my stuff to it, which was I guess it was kind of challenging, cause there was so much groundwork laid down before me, right? So how do I improve on this stuff that's already there, right? I didn't know, you know, it took a while, you know.
Here it comes.
Yeah. And, you know, like for the longest, when I started coming back to New Orleans, from school, I was, you know, because I was getting into my own sort of city, a lot of people didn't think I was from here. You know, they're like, you know, where you from? You know, I'm from the 90.7's. You know, they thought I was from Baton Rouge because I stayed up there so long. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I was up there. I would never come home unless somebody asked me to. So you know, but yeah. So you know, so I kind of got into my own thing. You know, and that's where the Dirty Dozen came. You know, when I replaced Kirk Joseph. Well, actually, I replaced Keith Anderson, which is, you know, I think, you know, you might know him better as Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Wolf,
Oh yeah,
man,
yeah,
Wolf,
trombone
yeah,
man.
Wolf of my original
Yeah.
name. You know, and Wolf replaced Kurt. So, but you know, Wolf is a true trombone player. That's what he is. You know, so I replaced him. You know, I just lost my train of thought.
Well.
Dirty Dozen.
Yeah, the Dirty Dozen.
Dirty Dozen.
Right there, you know,
Well, they kind of changed the music.
yeah, they changed.
Well, they evolved the music,
They evolved,
I should say.
they evolved again when I got in because you know, I played little upright bass and electric bass, so they wanted to utilize, you know, me on those because I could do it. You know, we did the Ears to the Wall album, which was my first Dirty Dozen recording, and I played all three instruments on that album. As a matter of fact, that same year we put the album out, I was in Bass Player magazine. I don't even know if that publication is even still relevant now. But I was in Bass Player magazine, and they did a spreadsheet where it triplet with the Dirty Dozen because I played all three instruments on the album. But you know, they wanted me to learn like this. Now this is before the internet, right? I feel so what we're saying. This is before the internet, so now only reference I have are the recordings, and I think I had a little bit of music from the Jelly Roll album that they had just completed. That's the last album we did with Keith Anderson. So I'm learning everything from a cassette, right? This new music, just from a cassette. And Roger Lewis was the baritone player for the Dirty Dozen. He gave me 2 weeks to learn though. Right? And so we put this in my hands, say we're going on the road for 2 weeks and get back, you know, have a rehearsal. So here, you know, now I'm burning the midnight up because I don't know what they're gonna do. So I learned it all. And I think it must have been about 7 CDs.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
I'm thinking like one CD.
No.
Yeah, like a
Well,
CDR with half a dozen tunes on it.
Yeah,
You know.
what? I'm coming out of Southern, and so I was still like heavy into my practice. I was shitting for like 6 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, and and I didn't have anything else to do, right? And I really said, man, I gotta really nail this if I want to get this gig, right? So you know, I learned it all, man. And they came back and we had a rehearsal and we played some music. And I said, well, what about this tune? What about this tune? Oh man, we don't play that no more. Man, so I'm like, wow. You know, I learned them all just to be safe, and they didn't cover it. Like, no, we don't play that anymore. They were laughing at me, like, hey, you heard all this?
Yeah, but nothing gets thrown away. It's always working for you.
It's always an attempt. I can always go back to it, but yeah, that was an interesting time. That was, you know, just to cover all that material, man, and commit it to memory, right? Because we don't take any music, understand?
Well, why don't we listen to a little bit of Dirty Dozen? There's a couple things queued up here. We got In the Meantime.
Yeah, so that's a song I wrote.
You wrote
and that song. I wrote that song, and that's when the band had converted, so to say, went from the one drummer, went from 2 drummers to 1 drummer, and then we added keys and the guitar, but I'm still on the super.
All right. Well, let's listen to that. Maybe we'll listen to a couple of tracks here. All right. So we're talking to Julius McKee here this morning, and of BassX. was a song that he wrote.
He's on now.
Okay.
Yeah, mics are closed.
Okay. That was great.
I just turned up the music because I want to hear it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just put in the other one that Five Aquariums is the one you also wrote.
Yeah.
So I put that one in there, and then I have the whole album. So if you want to put something else, whatever y'all want to do, and then I have this here. I don't know if y'all mentioned this yet, but it's gig at some part.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. So that's the band's debut at
This
at
band, do you have a CD or anything?
No, we didn't.
Not
have
yet.
it.
We're hoping to record in
Not yet?
October.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I know, it's like CDs are kind of, it's starting to come back a little bit.
They are,
but,
yeah. Yeah.
We sell them over
Same
there,
with
and people are
records.
like, I don't have a CD
And
player.
cassettes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to tell them, put it in your DVD player. You know?
Mhm.
But people ain't got that now anymore.
Well, sound on DVDs, I think, is way better than like streaming sound and everything.
Oh yeah.
And records are way better.
I started playing gigs at 13 because my father was sick. And I'd have to cover for him.
Oh.
So that's how I got started.
Oh, wow.
It was like a Christmas present to me to get to play with his band in 1970 for Christmas. And I had to play one of the tunes in the band, and I had to play a solo.
Wow. That's a really cool story.
So that was my debut and they gave me a check for $1 from the bar, you know.
I love that. That's sweet.
And then after that, when he was sick, I filled in for him, and he died when I was 15.
Oh,
so
wow.
I started working more.
Man.
I think is there a song on that album called "Get in the Cut"? It should be another.
We got Blackbird Special, 5 Aquariums, Flow On, Funky Nuts, Getting in the Cut, I Hold the Key. In the meantime, The Censure, my You Can't Fail Me,
Yeah.
Recreate.
Yeah. So like if you're doing 3 or 2 on there, or you doing 3 or 2 songs.
I think it's up to Tom.
Yeah, it's up to you, Tom. What do you want to do?
Oh, 3 or 2?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk, and then we can do 2 or 3, I don't know, whatever you
Okay.
want.
Yeah, we do 5 aquariums after that, and then Getting in the Cut would be the last one.
5 Aquariums, since you're on the bass,
Yeah.
might be a nice time to talk about your style, how you play it like a bass.
We can, play that after we talk about BassX.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, so 5 Aquariums. So we'll go after this tune and we'll talk, get up to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Murph will set this up for me.
Which one's the last one you want to set up?
He wants to do 5 Aquariums.
It's already here.
No, it's already there.
It's right there.
Okay, well, maybe we'll play it before we talk.
Yeah.
All right, and that'll bring us into present day. But look, if there's something else you want to talk about,
Yeah, we talk about the project.
no problem. And I got this about your performance coming up. We plug that.
You can talk about, babe, if you want, how, we're planning on recording in October. We're gonna launch a crowdfunding for that soon.
When I was in the 70s, I left
Case
home when I was
people-
16.
Okay.
And like when I was living down here in the 70s, 75, 76, my roommates were all black.
Yeah.
And they were into more modern music, so they were listening to Donald Byrd and Herbie Hancock. So when I heard the brass band music when I came back in '82, I'm like,
Yeah.
there, look,
Yeah.
that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
all right, well, we gotta talk now. You're listening to WWOZ FM, New Orleans, and Tom Saunders here with the Wednesday morning traditional jazz spin party, and we're spinning some things here with Julius McKee. We just listened to the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, a couple of tracks that Julius actually wrote those tunes and plays the tuba on those tracks, and that was 5 Aquariums. it was the last, oh yeah, in the meantime, I'm looking up here and I'm like, where did it go? I'm not so good with the computers over here. But now you, what you're doing right now, this BassX project, tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a personal project of mine. I actually tried to launch it back in the '90s, right? After the Dirty Dozen had evolved into a drummer and sousaphone, piano, and bass. What I did in my off time, I said, well, I'm gonna try to do it because the music that I was writing was a little more modern, so to say, and so I wanted to give it I guess a more of a modern spin and not be as because Dirty Dozen, we got a big band, right? We got like 4 horns. It's a big band, so I wanted to do a scaled down version of that type of sound and utilizing the sousaphone because that really stood out to me. So I scaled it down and actually wrote a few tunes that we were playing live in New Orleans. I never got a chance to actually record it myself because at that time we was super busy, so I would often make time for it when I got home. But then I kind of got lazy, and so I let it fall by the wayside, and so I revisited it. Actually, like 2 years ago, I had got an offer to play at Jazz Fest. So I blew the dust off this and said, okay, so I put something together, and I actually did Jazz Fest that year, and then right after that, I did an album with the Preservation of All Brass. That's who I play with now. We recorded an album 2 years ago, and we got nominated for a Grammy. Right? I'm saying, wow, this is my first nominated thing, right? And so what I wanted to do, I decided to revisit it again. Now I can say, well, nominated artist Julius McKee. I said, well, let me try to ride this wave off, as we say in New Orleans, let me tailgate off this wave. Right? So I assembled some guys together who are very, the whole really dear to my heart, like Kevin Lewis is excellent trumpet player.
Oh yeah.
Kevin Lewis, Sean Keys, is from out in New Orleans, and I got some I call them young guns, piano and tenor saxophones. So this went to I went to the Gen Convention, the Jazz Educators Convention, and we're talking. They're going to some tutorials on social media, how to promote your band, this, that, and I got some good insight on the ins and outs. And I had my wife with me who also managed the band, so she kind of like got the fire on me, right? Said, you should do this, it's so easy to get complacent and lazy with things because, me doing this requires me to do a little more work. I also used to just being a side man, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
So but it's working out. We got after Jazz Fest,